Hello and welcome to the Crazy Poultry Inc. podcast. I am your host, Ian Gaio Loco Novak, and I'm here back again with the newest member to the crew. You may remember him if you listened to our bracket of best Tim Burton films, Damon Anderson.
How's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm surviving. Barely, but it's going.
Yeah, well, that's always nice. Well, as we know, Dark Phoenix came out this week, which I had the somewhat pleasure to see last night. I would assume you have not had the pleasure of seeing it.
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, with this release, we thought it was appropriate enough this is the end of an era, as we can say, because this is the end of the Fox universe, because they're merging now with Disney. Now, some people may be saying, well, what about New Mutants? Well, it's been pushed back 3 times now, so it's technically going to be released with Disney as the distributor, so...
Yeah,
Dark Phoenix
if it is even being released, that's the thing, you know.
Yeah, I keep hearing that it's going to go to the network, which, well, I will be very pissed about, actually.
It's probably just going to fall like a lot of movies that get super hyped and don't even get released. So.
Which actually is rare nowadays, because even if they look crappy, get pushed back, they eventually get released nowadays.
Oh yeah, it's one of those rare things, and sometimes just a lot of legal stuff, and just kind of falls, especially with the whole merger. Like, I think Disney's just going to scrap it all together and just go on, cut their losses and just kind of go on with their lives, because they know they're going to make a lot more money.
Well, they literally now have the gauntlet of Thanos right now with their properties. But this is not a Disney discussion.
Yeah.
So we thought best to kind of go back and tell our thoughts, because as most of you may know, I have not started this channel and YouTube till this year, so I actually don't have a single X-Men under my belt that I talk about on this. So we're just going to go kind of basically through the entire uncoherent franchise in best way that I can do it, because I had the pleasure again, I watched them all over again, except one, and I will talk about it when we talk about it, before I saw Dark Phoenix, because that's just the nut I am. But real quick, right before we get into this, what has been your X-Men interest in this, like how it started and where you felt comic books were going?
Well, if I'd have to say, I started with the first X-Men. My uncle actually watched it. He had bought it, and I loved it. I mean, I was a kid, so I mean, there was a few things that I didn't start to notice that were kind of off when I, got older and started actually getting more into comics. But I loved it. It was entertaining.
How did this have you feeling, like, as far as comic adaptations coming?
I mean, we have definitely gotten better, especially with, Marvel, have really branching out with the whole MCU and stuff. And,
However,
I feel like...
This was, however, the foundation for franchises.
Yes, that's the thing, A lot of people can, judge some of these movies but... Like,
well, we're going to.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't have, half the movies. We wouldn't even have the MCU if it wasn't for, like, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or the X-Men movie or, just some of the older movies that came out that kind of was the groundwork to start, even getting, like, The Dark Knight. X-Men was kind of a stepping stone into a whole plethora of comic book movies.
Well, the first 3 X-Men films actually came out before Dark Knight, so there was a lot of foundation that was trying out. But as fondly as we can always remember these, it always comes down to me, though, when years go on, how do they hold up?
Yeah.
When you release the nostalgic factor.
Yeah.
So, as coherently as I could figure out the story, which nobody try to correct me, I know I'm going to make mistakes because I know the mistakes that there are, because I watched 5 of these in one day and I noticed, oh my gosh, no coherent whatsoever. But, so, I think the story starts with X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
Because it's technically a prequel,
yeah,
but also a reboot. When the trailer for this came out, I actually was not into it. I thought it was going to be crappy.
Yeah.
And I, just had seen the rest of the X-Men plus Origins, and I was like, do we really need another one? I then sat in the theater, watched it, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And then now, as I rewatched it, I actually still like it. Yes, fans can have issues with character choices and what they have done to it, but I love James McAvoy casting as...
I think he was perfect.
Yeah, Professor X. Magneto from Fassbender, I think, is really great.
Yes.
And I even like Nicholas Hoult as Beast.
Yeah, I think he seems like Beast.
He's a, take him if you like him or something. The story I actually don't mind. Yeah, it's kind of nice how they tie in like the real life missile crisis.
Yeah.
With the Nazis, and then World War II coming around. But I also, when I rewatched it, I forgot how much I actually like the score.
Yeah.
Especially Magneto's theme. It's really awesome. I like the down, 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 down.
Yeah, they really do a good job. And I mean, if you get into really like the whole overall arching story, I'm a big fan how they tied it back in. Like, although, it may be kind of like wacky here and there, it seems like they really cared about the originals enough to try to, and not necessarily just kind of like, okay, we're going to reboot them and it's going to have nothing to do with the originals. I really enjoy that.
And other than when we move on to the next ones, they actually have color uniforms.
Yeah, it's actually matching uniforms.
It's a shame that color never goes to Wolverine, but they're color. One definite comic issue I noticed right off the bat that I let it go, and that's Havoc being older because he was apparently younger than Cyclops. So that was another immediate fans that backlashed on. But, I also think that, like everything, Kevin Bacon makes it better. He's actually not that bad of a villain. He's a really weird power, but, oh well, I'll buy it. Yeah. All these people have weird powers. What should I judge? One's weirder than another. I actually was really pleasantly surprised, and it's actually probably pretty high up on my list, which if we have a moment we'll rank all these films depending on but as far as a quick grade, just of a few issues and stuff that I see with it, I'm gonna give X-Men First Class still an A-. It was a nice because another incoherent thing, Xavier gets shot and is paralyzed, and we'll get to that when we get to X3.
Yeah, that's, as far as that, I can almost agree with that score, because you're right. It's, as far as it being a, kind of reboot almost, in a sense, it does quite well. And like I said, it seems like they actually appreciate, the predecessors, and they're going in with appreciation for the source material. I feel like, even if it's changed, like, it still feels like they have somewhat of a respect for the characters.
And also, just as a critical kind of thing to put on here, I looked up the Metacritic scores for all these, and this one got a 65 out of 100.
Really? That's not horrible.
And I'm gonna just continue on, even though I realize I've already made a big botch for this, but let's continue.
Okay.
So now, next, I'm gonna pull up the original X-Men.
Yeah.
Released in the great year of 2000.
Yeah.
Year that comic book movies looked all the same.
Yeah.
I still don't think this is... I thought that I really liked this when I first saw it, because it introduced me to, like, the first comic book movie that I saw, really. I mean, I may have seen something else, but I didn't recall. It easily, again, it introduces one of the best characters in this, and that's Wolverine.
Yes.
Played by Hugh Jackman, who was perfect for the role.
Yeah, 100%.
Patrick Stewart as Professor X, perfect casting, again. Ian McKellen as Magneto, again, perfect casting. Real quick here, throughout this series it's called X-Men series. It really only focuses on Wolverine.
Overall, yeah. I mean, it's like Wolverine and Friends. Like they should have called it that.
With more Professor X and Magneto.
Yeah.
Because once you rewatch it, like I did, a lot of these side people get the shaft.
Yeah.
Cyclops has barely any development. Jean Grey has barely any development. Storm has no personality in the first one.
Yeah. No.
And again, if you're like a comic fan going into these and you've read all of them and you watch the series, Sabretooth and Wolverine are big time nemesis and villains. They barely fight in this. In fact, at the start of this is when there's barely any fighting.
Yeah, it's very odd. Like, it's almost like they tried to develop a story, but like it didn't work.
No.
And I mean, but again, if we look at the predecessors of a little bit of what came before this in the 90s, well, I mean, the only two that I could think of that were actually memorable were Batman and Batman Returns. And,
How about Blade?
Blade, yeah. Yeah. But
Blade was 99.
If we look at, other films, like we had, Batman and Robin, and we know how that... So, comic book movies were just not a popular thing. I mean, you could probably argue for Superman, but other than that, they were kind of jokes.
Oh yeah, nobody took them seriously, which I think is why the tone of X-Men is that it's trying to be serious.
Yeah, it's trying to play it off like an actual movie. It's been no, these are characters, and it's not just it's not going to be slapstick comedy. It's going to be dark and pretty, and I think that's why Batman did so much success as well. So
yeah. But again, if you're going into this reading the comics or watching the TV show,
you'd probably be disappointed.
X-Men are colorful.
Yeah.
There's barely any color in this. And like I mentioned, it can get kind of dull.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that it's still a stronger prejudice story, then I would give it less credit.
Yeah.
The story in that respect is actually still handled pretty good. But... again, it just gets a little bit duller now that I've watched it again. It's not terrible. It's still a passable, watchable movie, but it's not as great as I remember when I watched it years ago. So
if it's on TV or something, if someone was playing it, I would not be mad. I would sit and watch it because I still get a lot of enjoyment from watching it. Mm-hmm. But if I go back and really look back on the film, and it's clearly not a it's not a nominated, this is not a super crazy good film, but it has parts in it that it really is worth watching. Like I said, if it's TV or something, or if someone's playing it, I'd be oh, X-Men's on, I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah. Also, some of the worst CGI at the moment.
Yeah.
And it was early 2000s, so that's what they all looked like.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to be giving X-Men a B.
Okay, I could agree with that. I'd maybe go B-.
Okay. Did not see that coming, actually. So then after that, we move on to X2, X-Men United. The follow-up directly after the original. And we start off it with pretty badass because we get Nightcrawler in the White House.
Yeah,
that still holds up.
I feel like that is one, it's a really good scene.
Yeah.
And two, I just like Nightcrawler. I mean, it's just the fact that they finally brought him in is amazing.
There's only a few character things about him that I'm just okay, but that's just because it's me.
Yeah.
But as a X-Men character and what he provides to the story, he's really cool. Makeup work was really great on Alan Cummings. However, that bit was an issue because then he didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
He didn't want to keep doing that makeup because it was, I think, almost 7 hours to put it on?
Yeah, it was, from what I remember, it was a very strategic thing to try to get it all on and ready.
But just, again, making up for the fact of actually kind of how dull X-Men was, to just start it off with that Washington sequence in the White House with him teleporting, taking out all the CIA guys, about killing the president. That was amazing. then kind of becomes the Wolverine movie again.
Yeah, I mean,
he then comes back from the factory or station where, X told him where he could find information about his past. Finds nothing. Then we're introduced to the new villain, William Stryker, who makes appearances. He made an appearance in First Class, which was just a younger himself. He's the one that gave Wolverine his adamantium, so we get that story. For that, we get also introduced to, I think it was Lady Deathstrike.
Yes.
Who also has the adamantium, but she's being controlled by William Stryker.
Yeah.
Who also is using that same serum to get information from Magneto in his prison cell. That Mystique busts him out of by shoving a bunch of iron in a prison guard's ass. I don't know if that's how it works.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
and if you just go back and look at Magneto when he's got the iron, he's like on this like silver platter basically. And he's got these two marbles like going around him. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, but you're right. It's a scene right there is kind of goofy.
It's almost like they're trying to make themselves sillier.
Yeah,
but they're still trying to come across as serious.
And so, I mean, overall speaking, I liked the film.
Yeah, I actually do too.
There was a lot of stuff in it that I was, because I was a little bit older when I had seen the second one, and I didn't ever watch it in theaters because I was still quite young. But
2003.
So I was like, I don't even know, I was like 7.
Yeah,
so
I didn't see this in theater either.
Yeah, so I didn't get to see it in theater, so I watched it much later, and the action was boosted up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned with the Nightcrawler scene, like it's just like it starts off at such a high pace, and you're right, it does switch to the Wolverine, but I think that all the films together focus a lot on the Wolverine.
No, they do. There's only a few that don't. First Class definitely doesn't.
No, I mean X through 1 through 3. Yeah. It's an overall, kind of thing, and with Stryker and everything, like it brings it back to again Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot more, and the characters seem to be more, a little bit more developed too. It felt like, it feels like they're doing a little bit more with them, and they're starting to kind of get the story part.
I think that they're trying more with Rogue and Iceman, but that more revolved around, I want to touch you, but no, you don't touch me. I'm going to kill you if you do. Yeah,
that love story thing, if I did, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the one where when Rogue first, like, she's sitting in a room and she, like, touches her boyfriend and, like, he dies.
No, that was the first one.
That was in the first one?
That was her introduction. She put him in a coma.
Yeah.
This Iceman forces himself to kiss her, and she about collapses him.
Yeah.
And then she also at one point touches Pyro to put out fire that he sets on cops.
Yeah.
But that's about the extent of her using her power. But that was also another thing that I didn't know because I watched the cartoon, but I never read the comic, and I don't remember the cartoon well, but she actually was formerly with Gambit.
Yeah.
Which pissed a lot of people off that she was with Iceman.
Well, heck, we didn't really even get Gambit at all.
No? We did.
Yeah, well.
We'll get to that. But I actually thought the way that because again, it always comes back to prejudice because that's what the X-Men Foundation is.
Yeah.
Was written a bit better in this because it more reflected on like a family situation.
Yeah.
Than like the government with Bobby Iceman's family.
Yeah.
So I thought that part was actually really good. Again, the action was better, but it still got dulled down.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a lot of Professor X being hypnotized, and he's like looking around a fake Cerebro.
Yeah.
And
he gets
told to target all the mutants, but then Magneto, he's a flip-flop villain hero as throughout this series.
Yeah, he's very anti-hero. I think he, as far as it goes, like that's one of the reasons why Magneto, he's very, he's almost like Thanos in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people can argue that Thanos is the villain, but his idea is not necessarily one that is like it's not like he's trying to take over the universe. He wants to bring it back where the world can continue. And although Magneto is a little bit different in a sense, he wants something like he wants more like the mutants to take over and be their own.
Well, because it's the whole Malcolm X and Dr. King. These two are founded on.
It's almost like like the discrimination from.
And it totally depends on which path you want to take. Do you want to take the action, violence, or not? But with all that said, X2 I think is easily one of the stronger ones of all of them.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't just for some of the dull moments again, it could have propelled it towards like an A- for me, but just because of that, it's a B+ for me.
See, I would say A-.
Now moving on to certainly not a controversial pick.
Yeah.
And that's X-Men Last Stand. I'm going to come out and say I at first did not really like this when I saw it.
Yeah.
But now as time has gone on and I rewatched all these, and especially all in one day, so I got to see the difference, I actually don't mind this one as much. The story at the end is where everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
But this easily has the most action, most energy, most color out of all of them. Jean Grey, again, is brought back after supposedly dying, but she's the Phoenix now.
Yeah.
But not really the Phoenix, which is the other issue.
Yeah.
But again, we then get Kelsey Grammer as Beast, who is perfect as Beast.
100%.
Like, if it wasn't for Wolverine, Hugh Jackman being cast, he would have been the number one for me as far as casting. Magneto is the villainous Magneto that I've wanted, because he, crushes, cops' cars, flips a freaking semi, moves the freaking Golden Gate Bridge, which still holds up. Angel is in there, and then he's gone. That's the big issue this is.
That's actually an issue that I have with the whole Angel thing.
The kid that plays him, when he's cutting his wings, actually does a pretty good job.
I really like it.
It's just then we cut after that to that he's older, so there's no development of that.
Yeah.
But again, it still comes back to Wolverine mostly, and we bring back Jean Grey to get killed by Wolverine at the end. Scott gets killed from Jean Grey because he wanted out of his contract to do Superman. Again, I like the ideas, though, that are brought up politically wise, because Kelsey Grammer, aka Beast, is a politician. He's fighting for he always brings up the mutants' problems and political stand, which is nice. And those are good clashing ideals that are between him and the president when it comes to that. And then when this cure is made, it's also a really interesting idea to bring up with. Because Storm says, what coward would take this cure? He says, is it cowardly to save oneself from persecution? Strong ideas. Yeah. It's just the payoff. There's really not.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you feel about this?
I really like Last Stand, actually. The action is definitely boosted up. There's a lot more, like you said, Magneto is to his extreme at this point. We've seen him over 2 other films, and he's grown on us at this point. And so not only the action, and I think this might be the second film. I am a little bit kind of dry on remembering specific scenes, but I know there's a scene where it shows Magneto in the whole Holocaust thing. Is that in the third one, or is that the second one as well?
His Holocaust things are brought up in the First Class and in the first X-Men. He does reference it.
Well, there's a cutscene back to where he's imagining his parents being he's getting taken away from his parents, and he goes like that, and the gate starts to bend.
Yeah, that's the first one.
That's in the first one too.
But
I'm a little
yeah,
rusty.
I know. In this one, because a couple of mutants come up to him and say, "Where's your, mark?" And he's like, "No ink will ever touch me again." So, because it was the Nazis that carved it into him.
Well,
but
I mean,
as far as now your overall opinion, though,
I generally like it. Like it's like you said, the action was definitely a lot more extreme, and like everybody's saying, and as weird as it sounds, like you said, towards the ending, it started to get kind of, but I really hope I really dig Juggernaut. He's cool. Like I really just he looks a little bit different than I'd like, but he is still the guy that got to play him. I think did pretty solid. Like he kind of reminded, like I could see him playing him, and as far as that goes, the ending where Jean Grey is on the top of the tower and Wolverine is climbing up to basically kill her. I really, really, really like that scene. Just that scene specifically, where Wolverine his skin's melting off, but he's still it's just heal. Yeah, it's still I think that's a pretty solid scene. But other than that, it's pretty good. Like you said, just the ending's kind of.
Well, it's the story takes chances, but there's no payoff, which is the biggest crime against it. But as compared to the other ones, if X2's story just wasn't better, I would say that I would rewatch X-Men Last Stand more because it's more energetic and it's more action. So surprisingly, as this may be controversial, but I'm giving X-Men Last Stand a B+.
I could agree with that, yeah.
Because I know it's bad, but I have a good time watching it.
Yeah,
until the end. So here's where I'm going to rephrase my botch that I messed up earlier. Because technically the first one is Origins.
Yeah.
But we're going to go really quick on it because I can make mine very quick. Why it's so bad? I didn't rewatch it for this. Deadpool is completely screwed up in it. I actually don't even think Hugh Jackman is trying in this. And crappy CGI claws in the bathroom scene. F.
Yeah, I mean, I give it a D-. For two reasons, specifically. Gambit and Blob. That's the only reason why I give it a D-. Because, one, I just like those two characters, and just getting to see them on TV, whether regardless if they're good or bad, just the fact that they even gave them a chance makes me happy. But other than that, no, the
only way I will ever buy this is if Ryan Reynolds brings in from Deadpool 2 the ending.
See, I don't know what they were thinking with the whole Wade Wilson thing,
But also, this is the easiest one to make cool. It's about Wolverine. Not that we haven't had 3 movies about him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, the thing, though, you know what? You know why? Another reason why he gets a D- from me? Mm-hmm. The video game for it was actually pretty awesome.
Well, I'm not the gamer here, so...
Yeah, it does better, and it makes the story just a little bit more solid. I think you would really like it if you played it.
Okay, well, but as far as the fact that you have not seen Dark Phoenix yet, we can agree, though, the worst of all.
Yeah.
Okay, then, moving on. So that was my botch. It actually would be first before First Class because of the timeline. So technically now next, move on to the Wolverine, where he goes to Japan and, deals with his mortality and stuff, and a man says that he can take away his gifts of long healing and stuff and like that. I actually enjoyed this because I saw this in the theater.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty good time in the theater. I will, however, admit the last 15 minutes are not great because it turns into him fighting a giant samurai, CGI samurai. However, by rewatching it and rewatching all of these, this one has the best style as far as directing. You could tell because he later comes back with the same director. This is one that Hugh Jackman actually read. He read this comic book series and he wanted to do it when he goes to Japan. The violence is amped up too because that's what Wolverine needs. He needs actually blood and violence. And And there's actually some pretty good character work with him learning a different culture and stuff like that, which we didn't really get with any of the others. Yeah, if it just wasn't for those last 15 minutes, I can live with the last 15 minutes because the rest is still pretty damn solid, in my opinion.
Well, I think one of the big things is it wasn't trying to cater to children.
No.
Whereas X-Men 1 through Origins, I feel like, were very, like, maybe, teenager-based.
Oh, yeah.
But this feels like this is a movie about Wolverine, but it's like this is time for the big boys to come out, like this is not for kids, like this is not for this is for like older people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why the violence is amped up more. And I believe the rating's higher than the rest of them, isn't it?
Well, as far as like the grading, PG and stuff, the theater release was PG-13 still. It's just that I watched the unrated cut, which is R, so I see more blood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there still was some blood because it's PG-13. You can get away with some blood. You just can't say the F word. But again, he drops a few in this too, which is nice.
Yeah. So and it's nice to see because like you said, Hugh Jackman is the quintessential Wolverine. Like he is Wolverine, 100%. Like. Mm-hmm. Now, he looks exactly like him, even from the comics. Like, it's very nuts how good of a choice he was. So, doing more movies, I'm not angry that they do movies about him, because I really enjoy him, but at this point, like you said, it's, this would be number 5 about him? After, if you count Origins?
Yep.
So this was the 5th film coming out that had a strong focus on Wolverine, which necessarily isn't a bad thing, but when this came out, I remember I was like, wow, like...
Well, but to be fair, in 2 of these, Wolverine is in the title.
Yeah.
Not like X-Men. You go to see the X-Men.
Yeah.
So just as far as like an overall film, and when you compare it to the rest, it's actually one of the strongest ones to me.
Yeah.
And again... Wasn't for those last 15 minutes in the ending. It could have gone up another letter grade, but I'm going to stick with a B+.
I'd probably do a B+, just because I was going to give it a B. But did you see on the on the DVD they have the alternate scenes? Mm-hmm. Have you watched the alternate scene?
I have.
Where he opens up the suitcase and it's his actual suit.
Yeah. But again, that's not in the film.
Yeah, you don't ever see it. But that's why that gets definitely the B+, because I was so excited. I'm really upset that he never got to put that on. At least once. I would love to see Hugh Jackman in the full-on gear, like an actual made Wolverine suit. Because that would just make my whole night. But now he has it, he always just cut his hair very weird and very kind of like in the style. That's really the thing. But other than that, yeah, I could agree with that.
So with the time that's allotted, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to split this in 2.
Okay.
Here's the first half. So we're just going to kind of continue to talk about like the whole first half and stuff. Okay. Because as actually the timeline goes after the Wolverine, some time actually passes.
Yeah.
So
quite a few years actually.
We're going to kind of stop it right here, but then we're going to continue on. But we're just going to keep talking about some of our favorite things from this first half, basically. Okay. So, I know how I said I couldn't really say good things about Origins. The opening credits is the best thing.
Okay.
To me, because it shows how old they are. It's just then kind of funny when you actually realize that his name of course has never been Wolverine.
Yeah.
But his name actually wasn't Logan. It was Jimmy. That is funny. Because you know what could have made me buy the poster now? Is if it said X-Men Origins Jimmy.
That would have been actually absolutely hilarious.
And also, Sabretooth. Not supposed to be his brother.
Yeah, that... Very odd choice within that. And, I mean, Origins to me is... I can't think of the other movie, but, it's a quintessence. It's easy to crap on the film. Very easy.
Oh yeah. On Metacritic, it got a 40.
Yeah.
It is the lowest out of all.
So there's definitely a lot of bad, but I'm a very realist, and I can find, even in bad movies,
I know.
I can find.
We've had this discussion before.
Yes, I can find somewhat positive. Whether it's in, I mean, there's only one film, and I'm not going to name the film.
Yeah, that'll be for another discussion sometime.
But there's only one film that I couldn't really find many positives. Like, there's maybe one or two, but this one, there's a few, like I said, like the fact that they included Gambit, the fact that they included Blob, the fact that they cast Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson, just the casting was actually a really solid choice. Little did they know, like, they, boosted one of the greatest movie franchises ever, because with, Deadpool, but...
You want to know an interesting tidbit, though, that I learned?
What's that?
If it's true, of course. When he's Deadpool at the end and he's got the sewn mouth shut, apparently that's not Ryan Reynolds. Apparently he actually left after he saw what was going to happen.
And that makes me like the movie even more, actually.
Yeah. It makes me have way more respect for Ryan Reynolds that I've already accumulated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I can't find many positives, and I can't watch. I will only buy Origins if the alternate ending is put in there from Deadpool 2, which we'll get to later.
I have no need to buy it because, like, if I want to watch a Wolverine film, I'll watch the Wolverine.
Yeah,
I'm not, I have no need to watch the film.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those films saying, if it's on TV again, it's one of those ones that I'd probably sit and be like, okay. Like, it was on at the hospital one night, and I was there stuck, basically. And, guess what? I watched that.
But you also had no physical way to change the channel?
Yeah. Oh, I could change the channel, but there was nothing else on. So I just sat there, and I was like, at least I'm seeing somewhat, at least I get to see Hugh Jackman stab some people. That was kind of my reasoning with it.
Just a few other things now I'm going to mention from First Class. Really liked the Magneto pulling the sub out of the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
And then I really liked actually how they wrote him to kind of pull the audience to come with him at the end.
Yeah.
Because he was right. They were going to destroy them with missiles at the end when they just saved everybody.
Yeah.
So thought that was another strong point of it, story-wise.
I like how they had Magneto's dad in there, too.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
The original X-Men, I think I kind of already felt like I said my piece on it.
It makes sense, though. The thing that I really do enjoy about First Class was, like you said, like, I still felt like I was watching X-Men. Like, there was, good story, and, even, like, I really like how they're bringing in some kind of, like, side characters that, they're not going after easy picks that people are going to be like, oh, this guy, like, as far as villains go, like, the villains were relatively unknown.
Yeah.
At least as far as people, like, if they just had no really base knowledge of the comics, they just strictly went in from just kind of like the TV show and stuff. Like, they were kind of going in with a blind eye, and there was nearly rogues.
Yeah.
Even the heroes, the other mutants, were pretty just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they had Darwin, who could apparently adapt to anything.
Yeah.
Angel, but it was a different type of angel.
Yeah.
First of all, it was she, and then she had like butterfly wings and could shoot like little like acid balls.
Yeah.
One criticism I remember hearing about it when I saw it was the like really deadpan of from the actress that played Emma Frost.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, but when you think about it, she's like an ice queen.
Yeah.
Probably is not supposed to show a lot of emotion.
Exactly. I really like the guy. I can't remember his name, but the guy with the sonic powers.
Banshee?
Yeah, I actually really like him. And that scene where he's flying over the water with his screams, I thought was actually...
Well, yeah, and then they got the idea of using him as sonar to find the sub.
Yeah. See, like, he was a really cool choice, and I really like that.
And he provided some of the comedy for it.
Yeah.
When they're trying to get him to, fly. And he's like, I'm going to die. He's like, Professor's like, don't worry, we're not going to make you do anything you don't want to do. Then Magneto just comes and goes, time to fly.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You were thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, and then that's just another quick thing I'm going to say is like, again, as I watch these films over again, to me, the first 3 X-Men movies, of the originals, a lot of the comedy doesn't hit. Feels forced, actually. Like when Wolverine does the flip off with the... I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Whereas in First Class, I felt like the comedy came pretty naturally when it came. So that was nice. Then just another interesting tidbit, if I know nobody has noticed throughout this series, is Magneto and Professor X like to play chess.
Yeah.
So you know what I want to know is what's the stats? Who's won the most? Who's won? Because I would think Professor X reads minds.
Yeah.
He's not cheating a little bit.
And this Magneto wears his helmet.
Yeah, he's just like sitting there. He's like, oh wait, I want to even the odds.
Yeah, we're gonna
it
play
on.
this a little bit fair.
Instead, later on, Magneto is the one that says, I'll go easy on you. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, you are at a disadvantage every time doing a strategy game.
I will say, actually, that, kind of reminds me, bringing in that, I really love how they set that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also, just because you brought it up, another thing that I'll say is, it starts as a what, and then because of how it continues, it gets better. So you said about the training camp.
Yes.
Like it has a very Schindler List feel to it.
Yeah.
So what they did was they basically put the same exact opening from X-Men into First Class, except they cut it in parts with a new boy actor.
Yeah.
To play it out. So, but if you go back and you watch both of them back to back like I did, you notice and you're just like, oh, these cuts are so obvious. Because it's like, gun going to hit the kid in the face, cut, and then pull.
Yeah, see, and that's the first thing. Actually, in the X-Men, that's one of the things that I really enjoy is tapping into that story with the whole, his family, like Magneto's family was basically discriminated against from essentially almost his birth.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see where, with him being different anyways, why he would feel ostracized to the point of it's us versus them mentality. So I could see where he would, be coming from.
And easily, Magneto gives one of the most painful deaths in First Class to Mr. Kevin Bacon when he moves the Nazi coin very slow through his skull and you actually watch it.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh!
Yeah, you're like, it's one of those one thing you're like, oh, hey,
and you can't move, but all you can do is feel it.
Yeah.
Oh. But you know what? That villain deserved it.
Yeah, hey, he was a douchebag, so...
So we're coming up on the end of this first part of the X-Men films. We'll be back soon. Just right before we go, Damon, how you feeling about this?
I'm excited. I'm really excited about the second half.
Yeah, because to be frank, that's where a lot of stuff comes.
That's where I feel like the top tier films are.
Yeah. So guys, we'll be back shortly with another episode following. We're just going to take a small break. And if you like to keep hearing this stuff and seeing more videos, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Crazy Poultry Inc.
Yeah, you should do it, definitely.
I will be back with my guest, Mr. Damon Anderson. And also real quick during the break, because if you're irregular, you got to come with a nickname. And it's got to be poultry-based.
Okay, I'll think of something.
Okay. With that, guys, we'll be back soon. See you later.
Bye-bye.